Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Coach U Show. Today, I have a special guest, my friend Hwang, who is an immigration attorney in New Haven, Connecticut. Welcome, Ho.
Great to be here.
So today, we're going to dive into a whole series of questions that we're going to turn into a bunch of repurposed content to demonstrate to everybody how we can create content at scale from a single 1-hour interview. Ho, tell me, how did you get started in law?
Well, I think the important thing was that, I'm a first generation immigrant. I came to the United States. And this truly is a great country. And I wanted to do something that allowed other people the same opportunities that I had. And that's why I chose immigration law specifically.
So what does it mean to be a first generation Korean immigrant?
Well, I was born in South Korea. And I immigrated to the United States. I went to school here and I started practicing law here.
And you live in New Haven?
I do.
What's your favorite restaurants in New Haven?
Oh, wow. There's lots of great restaurants in New Haven. Of course, New Haven's really famous for their pizza. So you have to mention Sally's and Pepe's. And then we have a bunch of really fine cuisine here. A Union League, we have Pacifico, we have Harvest. So there's lots of restaurants. And for the city it's really a foodie town.
How did you choose New Haven?
Well, kind of New Haven chose us. So we ended up in this area because my uncle was recruited as the judo and taekwondo coach at Yale from Korea. So he came over first, and then my father, who also does martial arts, came here. It was sponsored by him. And we just ended up in this New Haven area. I grew up in North Haven, went to school there, and kind of stayed here.
I went to school and high school at Chote's my home, Wallingford, Connecticut. So not too far.
Okay. Yeah. Chote's right here, very close.
And for schooling, you were at UConn School of Law.
Yes.
In grad school. What was that like? It's Storrs. I always wanted to go there.
Okay. Well, undergrad, I went to UConn, and then that's at Storrs. Very rural, but still it's a great college town. The law school is at a different location. It's in West Hartford, Connecticut. So they have a separate campus. And it was actually an old seminary, and they bought that old seminary out and converted it into a law school. And I also have an MBA from UConn, which is at another campus. The main campus is in Storrs, but while I was doing my joint degree, they had a separate West Hartford campus where I took my business classes.
Awesome. How long have you been in Connecticut?
So triple Husky. I've been in Connecticut pretty much all my life since I immigrated from Korea when I was 4 and been here ever since. It's a great state.
That's incredible. And now you are also part of the American Immigration Lawyer Association?
I am. So that's an association of immigration lawyers in the United States. So what it is it's a support group. We basically give each other continuing legal education. Also, it's an opportunity to network with other lawyers. If we have a specific issue that we've handled or somebody else has handled, we can ask each other. And it's also a lobbying group where we advocate for immigration rights of individuals and to try to streamline the process and allow more people to, have the opportunities we've had.
Fantastic. Now, you are also past president of the New Haven Young Lawyers Association.
Yep. I was past president of New Haven Young Lawyers, which is for lawyers that are 35 and under. And after I was past president of that, I moved on and I was let me get a drink of water. Hold on for 1 second.
Yep, no worries. All right. Video editor, obviously, cut out that portion. We're going to cut into lots of little snippets and turn them into articles. And then let's use our AI and copywriting tools to turn them into full articles that we can place on DennisU.com, Blitzmetrics, HwangLaw.com, and other sites we have.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Hey, we got to make sure you're getting water.
Exactly. So where was I? Okay. So Yes, I was past president of the Young Lawyers, which is for attorneys that are 35 and younger. And there's also a senior bar association for New Haven. Excuse me. Hold on, Dennis.
Yeah, no worries.
A little bit of allergies going on here.
A little bit of what?
Allergies.
Allergies. Oh my goodness. The summer.
Yeah. Well, the fall allergies in Connecticut are pretty bad for me. I get the ragweed pollen. Wow. That was bad.
The beauty of editing is cut it all out.
Okay. All right.
And you're also on the board of the Korean American Society of Connecticut.
Let's back up because I finished out what I was saying about the New Haven County Bar Association. I think that's important.
Okay.
I was the former president of the Young Lawyers Association, and I was able to move up to the senior bar, and I was the president of the senior. I don't know what's going on with my voice.
Take your time.
Yeah, it's like strange. Well, maybe if I get some tea. So you're in California, Dennis?
In California, Las Vegas, and Phoenix.
So you travel between all three places?
Yeah, I travel a lot. This is our video studio in Vegas.
Okay. How often are you in Vegas?
A lot. Probably every week.
Oh, really? So you fly into Vegas every week?
Yeah.
I go to Vegas once a year I have like a long weekend with my actually law school roommate, and we just play golf, hang out, and, go to restaurants and stuff like that. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah, Vegas is cool. Is it recovering from COVID?
Yeah, things are starting to open up. The shows are opening up. I think a lot of them are like half capacity. The restaurants are fully open back. Yeah, it's great.
Okay.
I'm waiting for the big buffets to open, which I think are just partially opening.
Yeah, like the Bellagio buffet.
Yeah, or the one at Caesars is the best. Or
is it really?
And Wynn, I think, are the best too.
That's where I actually stay at is Caesars. I should actually try the buffet. I'm not a big buffet guy, but if you recommend it, then I'll definitely try it.
Yeah, the Bacchanal buffet, even if you're not a buffet guy, I think the quality of food is so incredible. You just have to go.
All right. So maybe can you still hear me at this level?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you sound great.
I'll do a little bit lower level instead of trying to shout, and then I think my voice will be okay.
Yeah, whatever's comfortable for you. And it just goes to show people that are doing things like podcasts and whatnot, that they just want to see you as you are. You don't have to be a perfect professional talk show host. You don't have to have perfect lighting. You don't have to have a fancy studio. Just literally like this is good enough. And we can talk about any topic that you want, which is a cool thing. So when you play golf in Vegas, where do you like to play?
Actually, a bunch of different ones. I played in Rio Seca is probably one of my favorite ones. That's where Tiger Woods used to play at.
Yeah.
So no, it's nice. But okay, let me go back and then let me finish this question and we'll move on.
Right.
So yes, I was president of the New Haven County Bar Association Young Lawyers. And I was able to move up to president of the regular lawyers. And I was actually the first minority president of New Haven County Bar since its inception about 150 years ago. So that was exciting. And I was the first minority president of any major bar association in Connecticut. So,
wow.
That's important because traditionally, the leadership has been, mostly white. So now I think we're doing better because there's more minority lawyers here in Connecticut.
How does that make you feel to be the first minority president?
I think it's important. I think, it's, kind of give an example to other Asians or other minorities that, law is a career path that you can really excel at. And, it was a big honor to be president that the membership chose to pick me as their leader. And, just by example. So if you see an Asian American lawyer president, then you might say, as a young Asian American, say, well, law might be a good opportunity for me.
Yeah.
So I think that's important.
What advice do you have for young adults who are considering a career in law?
I think it's a great profession. I think it is constantly changing with the access to information that people have. And I think, technology, it's one of the few areas where now you see technology affecting the practice of law. And eventually you'll see, I think AI replace a lot of lawyers. I think that's the future. But there's always, I wouldn't say replace lawyers. I would say augment, the legal profession. because I still think that, in our lifetimes, you need lawyers, to oversee the process. And there are certain things that you can't do with AI, like you need somebody to show up in court. Even in immigration, we have immigration court, we have hearings, we have trials. You can't have, an AI show up to immigration hearing or an interview for somebody's citizenship. So there are certain things that you can't replace, but it's changing.
Yeah. What advice do you have for a young Asian American who is considering a career in law? What things do they have to do? What things should they be thinking about?
I think as an Asian American, I think it's important if you choose the law that, I think it's less now, but, when I was starting the law practice, I was like basically the only Asian attorney. And when I started my law practice, I was a litigator. I did mostly trial work. And, I would just show up to court and I would be the only Asian person there. And you have, state marshals or, clerks there, asking me if I'm the interpreter. That's what I was facing. But I think it's starting to change now. But in areas like Connecticut, where Asians are not the primary group, you see that. So it's a little bit of an uphill battle, but I think you have to, you just have to work harder. And I think Asians have that work ethic. Just work harder. It's a great opportunity. And now, a lot of my clientele are Asian. They feel more comfortable with somebody who speaks the same language as they do. So there are lots of opportunities, niche opportunities as an Asian.
So as an Asian, let's say that where English is not my first language, and I have this idea that a lawyer is a litigant who's in court like a Matlock and is a great orator. Is that what a lawyer is like? What is it really like?
No, it's just there's a very small percentage of the law. And even in terms of litigators, vast majority of litigators don't even show up to court. And even litigators that do show up to court, the vast majority of their time, they're not in court. They're doing paperwork. That is a hindrance because, the law generally is language. So even if you're a litigator, if you're not a litigator, you still have to have a good command of English because, statutes and regulations are all written in English. Contracts are written in English, so everything in the law kind of revolves around English. So I think that's one of the reasons why first-generation immigrants don't practice law, because of the language barrier. And I think it's really, now you see the second-generation immigrant Asians that, are born here, are fluent in English, become lawyers. And so it's great. It's a positive thing. We need
it's great.
Asian American lawyers.
I'm an ABC, American born Chinese. So my parents came here.
So you were born here? So yeah, I'm considered like, they call me like 1.5 generation because I was like 4 when I came here. So I'm not really first generation. I'm not second. So I'm like halfway between the first and second generation.
That is so cool. So what does an immigration attorney do?
We generally help people through the process of obtaining visas or green cards or citizenships. We help corporations recruit people internationally and allow them to work in the United States. There are lots of things. Immigration law itself has lots of different areas. And I mentioned before, there's court. So people who are getting deported, people looking for political asylum, refugees that are, coming from, say, Afghanistan. You have a slew of immigration lawyers helping these people through the process. So there's lots of things. But, generally it's, I guess, the thread that connects everybody in immigration law is to try to bring somebody who's not a U.S. citizen into the United States. Yeah.
Is it harder now to work in the United States if you're not a citizen?
It is. I think with the last administration, it was very restrictive. So the idea of the last administration was to try to keep people out. So now with the new administration, things are slowly starting to swing back to be a little bit more pro-immigrant. But yes, definitely. I think the problem is that the United States hasn't really addressed the fundamental problem that they need to have a comprehensive immigration reform. And because the system is just not working.
I know us in tech, we have a severe labor shortage. We can't hire enough people in the United States, so we have to try to go abroad. What advice do you have for someone in tech who's abroad and wants to work in the United States?
Well, I think the most important thing is that you need to apply early, because a lot of times people, at the last minute, they come to me and say, hey, I want to come to the United States. I got a job offer next week. It just doesn't work that way. The process takes years. So if you have an idea that you want to come to the United States, you want to get that ball rolling as soon as possible. So that would probably be the primary thing. And then, hire a really good immigration lawyer. They'll help process.
Let's say that we've got a number of virtual workers that are in Southeast Asia that we'd like to bring to the US. How would that work in sponsoring them like an H-1B or other things to have them live and work here in the US? Or what does it cost, and is it doable?
Sure. H-1Bs are specialty visas. And the basic criteria for that, for the H-1B, is that one, the job has to require at least a college degree. Two, the candidate for that job has to have a college degree in that specific area. And right now there's a shortage of these visas available, and they're all gone within the first day that they're available. So the application deadline is April 1st for an October 1 start date. And all these visas are going on the first day. And then they're actually doing a lottery so that even if you filed it on that day, you may not get it. The cost is expensive. It depends on the complexity, but the application fees are thousands of dollars. So you're looking at maybe tens of thousands, $10,000 to $15,000 for total cost for each employee.
Is it true though, a few law firms and a few big companies seem to hog up all of the spots, even if it's a lottery?
Yes, there's a lot of, especially high tech companies that have lots of applications. So it's not necessarily hogging up, because it really is a lottery system. So you have any company has the same chance as any other company. But there are large companies that have a lot of H-1B visas.
Let's say that I have some friends that work in the United States, but they're not US citizens, and they have to show that they're working here or sponsored, or they get deported. Why would they want to work with an immigration attorney as opposed to try to do their own legal stuff?
Yeah, I think a lot of people say that, they might think that they can do it on their own, but it's such a complex area of the law. There are a lot of lawyers that don't do immigration law. It's very specialized, and it's just a huge risk. It's if you make a mistake, immigration, USCIS, which is a governing body for these applications, have basically a zero tolerance for any mistake. So once it gets denied, it's denied. So you're risking, not being able to work in the United States so you can save a little bit of money. And I think that's probably, not wise.
Sounds foolish.
Yeah. The saying is penny wise, pound foolish. It's just, if you can afford it, you should get the best immigration lawyer you can afford.
What are some of the most common mistakes that you see people make in DIY immigration law?
Wow. There's no one specific mistake, because there's so many different areas of immigration law, from these, like you said, the H-1Bs to family-based, like somebody getting married to a U.S. citizen. There's so many different areas that there's no specific mistake, one mistake that people make. The fundamental mistake is they haven't hired an immigration lawyer. And I see so many times when they try to not do it on their own, and they come to me when it's already too late. It's already been rejected, and they're just like, I just can't do anything. I can't help it. So I see that all the time. So it's just, you just try it on your own. And the biggest mistake is just believing things on the internet. Everybody thinks that if it's written and if it's on the internet, it must be true. So they look at these things and then they try it on their own. And then, sometimes, you can get away with it. I know people that have, successfully filed applications on their own, but it's just really, do you want to take that chance? They're really worth a few $1,000s savings to take that chance that you might not get to live here, and you get deported.
Well, they think they're a Google PhD.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And they come to you. What's the most common case that you take?
It's probably employment-based. So I represent a lot of companies that want to hire foreign workers. And that's probably number one. Number two would probably be family-based.
Mm-hmm.
So people that get married or they want to bring in their parents, immediate relatives. That's probably those. Those are the two largest areas that I handle.
So for employment and family, what percent of the time are you speaking in Korean versus English?
I would say about 50% of my practice is Korean. Koreans wanting to come to the United States.
And how do these Koreans find you?
Yeah, I actually did analysis. It's all referral based. So from previous clients and from other lawyers. So it's kind of like the medical practice when you have a general practitioner and you have somebody that needs to go to a specialist. So immigration law is really a specialty niche practice. So I get a lot of referrals from other lawyers.
What kinds of situations with other lawyers would they refer you in, just so I can understand how the referral network works? Sure.
So they'll come in and say somebody gets picked up on a DUI and it turns out that they're not, they have a green card. They're not US citizens or they're here out of status. Then they'll refer that to me. They'll have another matter. Somebody gets in a car accident and it turns out this person is not a US citizen. So, or they'll get a call saying, I have an immigration question. Can you help me? And then they don't do immigration law and then they'll refer that person to me.
Got it.
So I don't do actually any advertising. Everything is referral based.
Wow, that is incredible. How do you build your reputation like that?
I think it's one of the times it's primarily, network and practicing and, in the beginning, you work hard and develop a client base and it kind of like snowballs and, they have friends and they have relatives. So it's just a matter of time. And I've been doing this so long that it's already, I already had a base. And in the very beginning, yes, you do have to advertise and you need to get that client base.
Yeah.
But now at this point, it's, I have enough network that it's all referral based.
How is being the past president of the New Haven County Bar and being a part of other associations helped you professionally and driving leads and referrals, for example?
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that's a great way where you get to know people. And it's really about trust. So the more people that you meet and are friends with, the more they trust you, because if you're a lawyer, you're just not going to refer that to your client to anybody. So they have to know that, you know what you're doing and they have to know you personally. So I think the more people that you get to meet and have a professional relationship with, the more referrals you get. So
how does a lawyer vet another lawyer? For example, right, I'm a personal injury attorney, let's say, and I'm looking for an immigration attorney. What things are they looking for?
I think, the years of practice, their reputation, and other lawyers saying that, oh yeah, I worked with him or her, and she's a great lawyer. It's like that referral based. So they, firsthand knowledge of how this person has, worked. How does
this is just me being ignorant, but how does a lawyer measure their success? Is it like, sports scores on how many times you've won and lost? Or how do you build that reputation or determine someone's a good lawyer?
No, it's not a score, because you can take on really, really tough cases and you can try, you can be the best immigration lawyer or any type of lawyer, and you can lose. One, they have to have experience. So they have to have done this particular area of the law specialty long enough to have a lot of experience. And I've been doing this almost 30 years. Two, these people have to really care about their clients. You can be smart and know a lot about the law, but if you don't really take the effort to individually help these people, then it's kind of meaningless.
Yeah.
So I think those two are the crucial, things to be a good lawyer.
Yeah. What's been your biggest surprise in the last 30 years?
For immigration law? Or
as an immigration lawyer, or things that someone who's a young attorney wouldn't think is part of being a lawyer?
I think the biggest surprise right now is that we still haven't come up with comprehensive immigration reform. So we've had this problem for a long, long time, ever since I've been practicing law. And, 15 years ago, we were kind of close to having it go forward with George W. Bush. But, it's just something that I don't know why we don't have the political will to kind of make these changes. That's the biggest surprise.
So with the new administration opening things up, where do you see things going in the next 5 or 10 years?
I think it's going in the right direction, but I don't think it's going enough into the right direction. The Senate still has a filibuster. So even though the Democrats control, they can stop any sort of comprehensive immigration bill. They've pretty much said that nothing is going to go through.
Well, that's why we need folks like you to be able to fight on their behalf for their business.
Yeah, we do what we can, but, we're limited with the law. You still have to work within the confines of the law.
Yeah. Sung-Ho, what's been the toughest case you've had in the last 30 years?
Oh, I would say that there was one case I was involved with in immigration court. And I really think that he had it was the right thing to do was to keep him in the country, because he was from a very dangerous country in Africa where lots of people are killed. And there wasn't anything I can do. And the judge deported him back to that country. That was tough. That was, I don't know, maybe about 7 years ago. So recently, that was probably the toughest case that I had to handle.
Have you heard the news about the CMO of Huawei who's being kind of held in Canada?
Yes. Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, it's not really U.S. immigration related because it's in Canada. But, that person, there's a lot of things going on as to Huawei in general, as, what actually they're doing. And, there's security risks involved with their technology and things like that. So, I don't have too much to say concerning her, because I really don't know the facts that well.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So what advice do you have for a family that is dealing with immigration law issues and why they would want to work with you?
Well, yeah, I would say that the advice that I would have is that, they need to do their research. They need to look at who they feel comfortable with in terms of somebody representing them. And, I think that, this office provides a competent and zealous representation. We really care about people. And that's most thing. And the best thing is if you're a first generation immigrant, you understand what people have to go through. And I wasn't a citizen until I was 16 years old. And I remember that happening. It's important. And this is a great country. And we really do need to have talented, hardworking people. And if we have this xenophobia and we continue to exclude these people, we're no longer going to be the best country in the world.
Amen. I agree.
Yeah.
That is huge. So it took you 12 years to become a citizen when you got here at 4 until 16.
Yes. Yeah.
Talk to me about that process.
It was tough because back then, there weren't as big hurdles as they are now, but there are still significant hurdles. And, my parents went through the whole process of getting their visas, getting their green cards, and applying for citizenship. It was long. It's a long process, even back then. So, luckily, I remember my parents, when they actually found out that, the green cards, were successful. The applications for the green cards were successful. Truly life changing,
Yeah. And then you got to pass the citizenship test, which is tricky, right?
Yeah, it is. You have to speak English, and they actually say that the majority of American U.S. citizens don't know the answers section of the U.S. citizenship exam, which is true.
Yeah, I think I would fail. I was born here in the U.S. What does it typically cost? I'm sure there's a range, but to hire an immigration lawyer that, let's say you have a visa and now you want to move to a green card and then citizenship over a few years, but just for people that are afraid of talking to a lawyer, how would they look at costs?
Costs are like, I would say it's probably ranging from a couple of thousand to maybe 10,000. It really depends on what you're doing.
What are some of the factors that make it more expensive?
Certainly the complexity. So a lot of the business immigration tends to be very complicated applications, so that they tend to be more expensive. But if it's something relatively straightforward, somebody who's a U.S. citizen marries somebody who's foreign, it's only a few $1,000s for that type of application.
Tell me about that day when you were a 16-year-old and you became a citizen. How did you feel and what happened that day?
Well, I remember because I specifically remember getting the passport. So that was, allowed me to travel. And the first thing I did was I went to Korea, which I hadn't been to since I was 4, but it's really empowering. You realize that you're part of this nation and you have lots of opportunities now available to you that somebody who doesn't have legal status has, Then I became a lawyer.
I love how you're doing so much for other people. Why are you proud to be an American?
I'm proud because this is really the greatest country on earth. Really, it really is. Anybody who's a first generation immigrant, as long as they work hard, really can be successful.
I think this is true. My friend Barry Habib is the top mortgage broker in the United States. And he's been on Squawk Box for 12 years. He's got 40,000 mortgage brokers that follow him. And he wrote a book called Money in the Streets.
Okay.
How he came over as an immigrant with nothing and became just wildly successful because he worked hard and because he hustled.
Yeah.
And we want people to hear about your story coming over here and show how it's possible, even if English is not your first language.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that you even embodied that as an immigration attorney. So I'd love to hear maybe some encouragement you can give to our audience, maybe a couple stories along the way that help people understand.
Well, I actually remember the very first time that I was able to handle a very tough immigration case. And I was successful getting this woman her green card. It was like, she actually started crying and hugging me. And it was like a point where it was like, I truly changed her life. Yeah.
That's incredible. How'd that make you feel?
That's why I do this. Yeah. That's why I come to work. That's why I work hard.
What else would you like people to know about you that we haven't talked about?
I think it's important that not just about me, but about first generation immigrants. And I think right now it's very anti-immigrant right now. And it's also very anti-Asian immigrant. So, with the virus, and I think that essentially, hold on for 1 second, Dennis.
No problem. Take a good drink, get some honey tea.
Yeah, that's a good idea, but I just have this green tea. No honey. I was like, honey and lemon would probably be really good, but I don't know what's going on. It's like stuff. Okay. So what was your question again?
What are things that you would like people to know about that we haven't talked about?
Okay. I think important thing is that Asians shouldn't be looked at as somebody who has a virus that's harmful. I think a big part of our society in the United States are Asian Americans, and we work hard. I think if you stop people from coming to the United States, you stop the best people from coming to the United States, because I think immigration is self-selecting, that you have the hardest working people are the ones that leave their home, travel here, learn a new language. Those are the people that you really want. They make America great. And, if you've got somebody walking 2,000 miles to get here, they're not going to be lazy. They're going to work hard.
Amen. And I identify with you as my fellow Asian brother. I didn't speak English until I was 6, and my parents came over here with nothing. And I can tell you they worked really hard, and I worked really hard. And we need a lot more people like us to integrate and to be able to motivate them and show them what opportunity is here. And especially seeing you in leadership positions, being the first minority president of the New Haven County Bar, and being involved professionally and doing something that you would, even native English speakers would struggle with, which is the command of the English language as it relates to law, is an incredible testament to what is possible. So massive congratulations to you. And I want everyone to listen to the story that you have, Sung Ho. I think it's fantastic. I think that there's so many angles, not just for Asian Americans, but for everybody here in America that is struggling or wants to see opportunity or is an entrepreneur or they want to provide for their family. I think that you are a massive inspiration. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Dennis.
Sung Ho, you are awesome. And keep drinking green tea with lemon and honey.
I will. All right, Dennis. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Sung Ho. Guys, this is the Coach U Show. Go follow Sung Ho. And I want to hear your story and how you've overcome adversity and how you want to share and help the next generation follow you. Thank you, guys.